Hey everybody, we are back tonight. We're doing this at night. Tonight. We are back tonight with Brandy of Brandy Astrology. And we are going to be talking about the astrology surrounding the Waco Siege. This is going to be kind of a two-part thing. We're going to be doing the Waco Siege here on this channel. And then on Brandy's, we're going to be doing the Oklahoma City bombing, the astrology surrounding that. Since the reason supposedly for the Oklahoma City bombing was the Waco Siege. Kind of makes sense to do them both the same week. So just a little bit of, just a small, it's kind of hard to sum this up, but essentially from February 28th through April 19th of 1993, there was a standoff between the Branch Davidians in Waco and different parts of the U.S. government, the ATF, FBI, Texas Rangers, Texas military forces, and for some reason, the Alabama National Guard. I'm not really sure why the hell they were here. And I say why they were here because both Brandy and I are in Austin, which isn't too far from where all of this occurred. I don't know why the hell the Alabama people were here, though. But they were essentially, the Branch Davidians were suspected of weapons violations, stockpiling illegal weapons, and there were arrest warrants for David Koresh, who was the leader of the Branch Davidians, and some other members. They suspected that Koresh and company were modifying their weapons to have automatic fire capability. The ATF, they're the ones who executed the search warrant on 2/28 or February 28th of 93. However, the Branch Davidians knew that they were coming and they executed it anyway, which as far as I understand would not have been normal protocol. But they went ahead and did it anyway, and it was a giant clusterfuck. The ATF claimed they heard shots fired in the compound. The Davidian survivors claim that the first shots came from the ATF outside. Koresh was actually shot in the first shootout. He was shot in the hand and in the stomach very early on. And then the FBI took over after the ATF fucked up. This is really a case of both sides sucking ass.
Yeah, there's a lot of things gone wrong on both sides for sure.
Seriously, like, yeah, in this, just, yeah. Yeah, should we go ahead and, I think that's probably, I have more written down, but I think that's probably pretty good. That starts us out on the first chart anyway, the February 28th of 93 one.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, it's kind of the backstory, and then here's the chart. Yeah.
Okay, so let me share content. Let me not fuck this up. That's not it.
That's David Koresh, though.
That's the
it does have something to do with the story. So
it's not like it's not some random ass thing that doesn't make any sense. Okay, is this the right one? I really hope. Is this? No, that's the end one. Where the hell is the one where it starts? Okay, hold up.
Where's the birth of the crime?
Where's the birth of the crime? Oh, it's this one. It's this one. This is where it starts. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so this starts on February 28th of 1993 at 9:45 a.m.
That's intense.
Yes, it is.
What you I'm laughing at the astrology. I'm not laughing at what happened. Just to clarify, right from the start, that chart ruler, because the ascendant's in Taurus, and we got Venus in the 12th house of losses in a detriment of Aries. Like, wow, this is not going to go well.
And intercepted, which kind of puts them, I feel like, in like a defensive, like, or like a hiding, you know what I mean? Like
they're imprisoned essentially. Yeah,
yes.
And 12th house is imprisonment and restriction, and wow. And then you got the moon co-ruling them in an exalted sign of Taurus in the first house. That's interesting. It's exaggerated here.
Yes, exaggerated is kind of a good way to, like, these look, I don't know. I want to be careful because people can believe whatever they want to believe, but these people, I feel like they were rather exaggerated in these kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have religion involved here. They thought their leader was the second coming of Jesus. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah. And actually later on in the standoff, he proclaims himself as such.
Yeah. So exaggeration, is appropriate.
Yeah.
And you got Neptune in the ninth house kind of sitting there. So there's another indication of some religion or beliefs.
There is. And you know what else is interesting about that I noticed? About that midheaven close to those two, to Uranus and Neptune. They first of all, in Capricorn, to me, that's very like government authority, right? It feels like that. But they end up getting, this is a little early, but when the siege ends, they bring in like tear gas and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a Neptune and Uranus thing, the gassing.
Yeah.
So there is some, I don't know, it's like something to come I don't know.
Yeah, it's lining up, right? It's already showing what's going to happen. That Pluto sitting in the seventh house, that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
This is a seventh house is, well, in a forensic chart, perpetrators, or in this case, who's responsible or what's the cause. And we got some Pluto there. We got some danger. Which now that we know the end result, it makes sense. It's very Pluto, what happens here, is very intense. And it brings an intensity, though, from a party who's responsible for the loss.
Yeah.
Or somewhat, or plays the part, I should say. I'm trying to be careful what I say. I don't want to, I don't really have any kind of specific beliefs about this, because we kind of see things like we kind of said earlier on each side that just kind of go crazy.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah, this is really one. I mean, there are other examples too, but this is one example where neither side was particularly in the right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the way the alphabet agencies handled this really wasn't, I don't think, very good. But at the same time, Koresh and his people weren't doing the greatest things either.
Right. It feels like the government, it's like their strategies were just bad. There were some, there's so many documentaries about this with so many things you find out that happened. And it took some decades actually for some of the stuff to kind of make, come out. And
and from what I read, like there ended up being like two sides, two factions that kind of broke off within the US government or within these different alphabet agencies. Ones that wanted like negotiations and ones that were all about force.
Right.
And if we were gonna look at this as the seventh house as being like the different alphabet agencies, or the ATF particularly, I guess in this case, since they're the ones that started this, that Mars.
I was looking at Mars just now. Yeah.
Which is a little, not in a natal chart, but in one of these, a horary chart, it's a little fucked.
It's fucked. It's in Cancer. It's in a fall. It's in, the house of communication. And I'm trying to remember, I mean, I should know because I've watched so many documentaries about this, but this like almost implies that they may have been told something that wasn't true, or some false promises or exaggerations. Like, if you do this, we'll do this, and then it's not a well-placed Mars.
No, it's really not. It's no, it's not.
I find it interesting that the North Node is in the sign of Sagittarius, another, religion, beliefs, or not religion, spirituality, beliefs, and philosophies in the eighth house.
Mm-hmm.
In the eighth house of death, it's like dying for your beliefs, right?
Yeah, and I mean that is essentially what I have here in the notes. Early on, 19 children were released. And during actually also bringing the eighth house into play, during the interview, some said they had been physically and sexually abused, which also, you know, brings that, which is fucking disgusting. But a bunch of people decide to stay. Like, what was it? Like 98 people were still there as of March 8th of 93. They claim that they were there of their own volition. So yes, dying for their beliefs too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, you got these things about beliefs, you got things about spirituality, you got Saturn, you know, that could represent bodies eventually, sitting in the 11th house of groups. You know, we can find cults here sometimes too in the 11th.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the sun is there in Pisces, another like kind of religious sign, you know, it's this. And Mercury. Oh my God, can we talk about Mercury visiting that house as well in a fall in Pisces? It's like,
and retrograde.
In retrograde, like
along with that Jupiter retrograde.
I mean, this, and God, this is going to come across so insensitive, but this is like an example of like just your beliefs just not doing well for you here, you know, like just kind of really being under the influence of religion.
Yeah.
You don't need astrology to know that about these people, but you know, it's just, it's very well reflected in it though.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of eerie.
Yeah, it is.
And that Mercury would loosely square the nodes too.
Yep.
Loosely.
Yeah, it's within 7, almost 8 degrees. Yeah, I mean, it's still within those orbs. I think it counts.
Yeah, I think so, especially with the South Node in Gemini. I think it.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, you get a South Node in Gemini and it, you know, it's really like kind of going from, I need evidence, I need to do kind of some research, to going to, you know, to the North Node in Sagittarius that is completely faith-based. So I don't know, that Gemini South Node is the way, I don't know. The way it's, you know, Mercury is squaring these two, it's, I don't know what I want to say here. I almost feel like we should know better, right? Like,
yeah. Yes, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I don't want to put the people down, but it's like, oh yeah. It's kind of like,
yeah, because yeah. Let's see. I haven't looked at fixed stars actually yet for this.
I haven't either. Let's look.
I'm curious about I'm curious about the Venus.
Me too. That's what I was going for first.
Let me see.
Kind of wide. There's not really a major.
You're right. There's not.
Let's look at the moon. Let's see.
28. That's a
Algol.
and
Pretty
the
close.
Pleiades. Yep. I was gonna say this the Seven Sisters.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty. That one's really closest. It looks like accidents, blindness, violence, homosexuality, feminine power.
Huh.
And then you got Algol, strangulation, beheading, danger to throat and neck, murder, violence, mass catastrophe.
That mass catastrophe is fitting because this was just a massive fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah.
All the way around.
I mean, you had law enforcement killed too. I mean,
yes.
It was terrible on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know, that Venus being the chart ruler, being the victims, opposing Jupiter too, which kind of brings an expansion here. This is a mass murder event, and it's reflected early on in the astrology.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Should we look at for when it ends?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Okay, let me go and stop that one. And then let me find the right damn chart. Hold on. All right. I think this one's it. I think. Can you see that?
I can.
Okay, so this is for when the siege ends. It ends on April 19th of 1993 at 3:45 p.m.
Ooh, this is intense too. Like
yes.
that 8th house stellium and with all the, in the sign of death.
Yeah, and
New moon.
yes, a new moon.
Almost. Well, no, sorry. It's about a day and a half
So it's actually balsamic.
before. Yeah.
So it's winding down. The
It's coming to, yeah. It's getting, yeah.
So it kind of makes sense for something too.
With that sun at 29 degrees, the aneretic here.
Mhm.
That's intense too, especially in the sign of Aries. The sun is also exalted in Aries. So we have another kind of exaggeration. This, which we'll get into some of it in the part 2, if you want to call it, kind of showing an aftermath here.
Mhm. There's a lot here though. There are some things here that, okay, I'm just gonna move to the North Node for just a second. That North Node retrograde conjunct the Great Attractor. There is something about that screams this isn't over. That I feel like ties in with, I know that Timothy McVeigh had said that this was one of the reasons why he did Oklahoma City, but I'm actually really inclined to believe that, looking at that.
Yeah, he also visited Waco during the siege.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
And also that chart ruler from the first chart is now retrograde, which is like, we're not done here.
We're not done. We're pulling back, revving up, and going to attack again.
That is, there's there are just things here that it's like, ooh, there's a continuation.
Yeah, and that Saturn in the 6th house, this is, if you kind of play with the 6th house, I always kind of see like a protest type energy when it comes to the 6th house, when you either get malefics there or Pluto. Like here we got Saturn. And so this also, and it's in like Aquarius, which, is kind of standing up for things. I mean, was not right, but yeah, it's almost like kind of, it's like a premonition of a protest coming up as well. I don't know if that's stretching it, but that's kind of what I see when I see Saturn sitting there in the 6th.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 6th house is like service, and sometimes protests can fall under that. Like it's your kind of your duty to stand up for things sometimes, but
absolutely. In a sign like Aquarius.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
And we got, I can't remember. Was Jupiter, it was retrograde in the last chart, was it? Or no, it was not. Was it?
It was.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
Mercury is no longer retrograde though.
Right. It's gone direct. Because it was in Pisces. Now it's in Aries in the 8th house. It's also the chart ruler of the victims here. Mm-hmm. Right there, exactly conjunct with the moon, which is their co-ruler. Mm-hmm. But this time you got the descendant, if we kind of want to use the new rulerships here in this chart, traditionally ruled by Jupiter in the 2nd house in Libra. So if we want to kind of play with this and assign who's responsible or what the cause is, now we kind of got David Koresh kind of here.
Yes, we do. Yes.
It's like, what happened in those like 51 days? It's like there had to have been some doubling down inside that compound, right?
Yeah, there probably was. And there was a seemed like there was a lot that he was busy. He was talking to his attorney. I believe he was trying to talk to other religious people. I don't, he was real, he seemed like he was real busy inside doing shit.
I believe it.
And then, they started this day off with, doing the tear gas. So actually some of the tear gas they were trying to throw into the house or break through the house were actually like pyrotechnics. I don't know, some fucking wonky shit with that. Around 12 p.m., 3 fires break out.
Yeah, there's a theory that the tear gas started the fires too. I mean, I know
yes.
You might get some comments about that because there's a little back and forth about who actually started the fires, but it kind of seems like there's been a lot of information coming out that maybe the tear gas did.
Yes. Yeah. Because from what I've read, from what I was reading, it sounds like there were some bunk ass tear gas things that they were, that weren't actually tear gas, or there's something, I don't know what the fuck, something was wrong with them, or maybe they weren't tear gas to begin with. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. 3 fires broke out simultaneously. 76 people ended up dying in the fire. 20 from gunshots, come to find out, like afterwards. 5 of those were children. 1 child was stabbed, which is awful. Like, what the fuck? A lot of people died from skull injuries. And I feel like here you've got, Aries on the cusp of the 8th house.
Mm-hmm.
That could be like head injuries, right? It could also be, I feel like it could also be fire, like, or even
a violent ending.
Yes.
Gunshots, fire. And it's ruled by that Mars in Cancer, and a horribly placed Mars as well. Being in Cancer, this could represent children too,
Yes.
Terrible ways to go here.
Yeah, it really is. Should we take a look at his chart with the transits?
Yeah, I'll just note real quick that North Node in Sag is now in the 4th house of ending. So interesting, it goes from the 8th house, and now it's like in that 4th house of this matter anyway.
Yeah. It's very fitting.
Yep.
It's very fitting. Okay, let me make sure I get the right one. Oh, actually, let me pull the solar arc one first.
Oh yeah, I want to see this.
Because this is short. Okay. So I kind of it's not really funny, but it kind of is. Okay, check this shit out. We have this ascendant, the solar arc ascendant at 428. His fucking Neptune is at 427. And throughout this event, he's calling himself the second coming of Jesus Christ.
He must have really believed it. I'll say this, with the ascendant on that Neptune, he must have really believed it. Yeah, I'm full of it, but
no, I think, when I hear somebody say some shit like that, I'm thinking, oh, bullshit. But then I see this and I'm like, oh, homie actually believed this.
Homie really thinks that's his truth,
Yes. I'm thinking, damn, I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is for sure. That's so appropriate for what we know.
Also, you mentioned like the standing up thing with the 6th house.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like the ruler of the modern ruler of his 6th, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like I don't know, standing up for a spiritual, whatever, spiritual belief, spiritual.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Being I'll just agree.
Yeah, I think okay, now I'll pull the transits. Let me see. Okay, so here is the chart. His chart is on the inside. Born August 17th, 1959, 8:49 a.m. in Houston, Texas.
Of course, the Leo. Of course. I'm kidding. I love Leos, by the way.
He's also a Leo in the 11th house, which means like there is like a group leadership in groups. You know, it's kind of it makes sense. It makes sense.
It's the warrior. It's like being a warrior there when it comes.
It is.
Yeah.
And with Uranus there, weird shit.
And a wide conjunction, but still Pluto's right there.
Yes, it is.
Sun. I mean, that's like that's powerful. That's like wanting to be in charge, wanting to have power. You know, not for everybody. Pluto and Sun conjunctions play out in many different ways. But we know David Koresh's story, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's not funny, but it kind of is, because it's like
yeah,
just fits. It fits.
That moon in Aquarius. It's not quite a full moon, but you know, opposite signs.
Yes, opposite signs.
Man.
Is the Venus and the Venus and Mars conjunction.
Mm-hmm. Venus is retrograde when he's born too.
It is retrograde. So yeah, that's I didn't even think about that, with it being retrograde when he dies. That's interesting. I also wonder if this could tie in with the not the you know, taking minor brides, not just that conjunction, but that conjunction in the 12th. I don't know, like something kind of hidden about that, about you know what I'm trying to say. I think
I do. Yeah. Yeah, and this isn't for everybody by any means, but he's also got that moon in the 5th. You know, there's something about children here, or minors too, you know. Could probably
but again, but this totally isn't like, I want to make that, it's not, like she said, I'm not,
oh yeah, no, it's not, no, just because we know David Koresh's story, and sorry.
This doesn't have to play out the same way for, you know.
Oh no, usually not. I'll tell you this. Then I don't know how many astrology chart readings, you know, natal readings. A moon in the 5th generally has an importance with children, or these people are naturals at parenting, and it's actually a very awesome placement.
Yeah.
But you know, that chart ruler, so his chart ruler is at Venus too, and you know, in that 12th house of loss, and we can bring religion into that house too. And it's interesting. And like I said, not for everybody, because these things play out in different ways, but it really is literal of loss over religion.
It is. And look at that fucking transit Pluto fucking that Jupiter of his. Like,
Yep. And the 2nd house of values. Right. And he's got the sun transiting his 8th house that day. Now, not every time when someone dies do they have the sun going over their 8th house or whatever, but it's
well, it had literally just crossed into it. His 8th house is at 2947.
It's like, on, which is his cusp. It's on like, yeah.
I mean, it like just made its way in. Yeah.
Yeah, now he's got, I'm just kind of looking at something. He's got a daytime chart. He's born when the sun is up. So Mars is actually going to be the most malefic planet for him, according to Hellenistic
conjunctus chart ruler.
Yeah, right there. And then you got that, you know, Mars in a fall during this, you know, in this transit too. So Mars, it's the most harmful planet to him, and so it makes sense that Mars is in a fall at this time, and that he has Mars in the 12th, and conjunct Venus, conjunct the chart ruler.
Yeah. is there anything else you want to mention about it, or?
No, I'm just staring at that Jupiter conjunct his north node. You know, in Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know if we want to play with evolutionary astrology.
Yeah, and his
Something
Saturn
karmic.
his natal Saturn would also be squaring that shit.
Mhm.
His nodes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying it's kind of interesting timing with that one. You know, definitely something karmic going on, depending on what your beliefs are with evolutionary astrology. But
Yeah, I think yeah. I think there probably was, perhaps. Yeah. What?
no, nothing. Have that look.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to be good over here. I'm trying to be good. I feel bad about bringing up that moon in the 5th house.
Well, no, I mean, but again, it's not going to be like, everybody with the moon in the 50, but
No, it's going to be like almost nobody with the moon in the 5th house.
Yeah. It just, in his particular case, what we know,
He did have many children, right? Like, I don't know what
he had, I think, well, I could be wrong about this. I think I remember reading like 14 or something.
Yeah. That's a moon in the 5th house thing too, being very fertile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah. I was like, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like 14 or something.
I'm sorry, guys. I was just thinking out loud.
It's okay. Well, that's kind of what we do. We don't always sit with these for a while beforehand. Sometimes,
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably head off, but where can you be found?
Thank you. I can be found at brandyburrowastrology.com and Brandy Burrow Astrology on YouTube and Instagram. And Allie, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Let's F with Astrology. Find me on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology. You can find me on my website at SaturnSeason.com. Thank you so much for wanting to do this with me.
Thank you for having me back, Ellie. It's always a good time discussing forensics with you.
Yes, it is. I feel the same way. And to everybody else watching, I'll see y'all later.